The forest murmured with the sound of shivering glass. Belle awoke from a dream where her reflection had spoken, a voice not her own, whispering from behind the mirror's sheet. The vision clung to her as she followed her father's horse tracks into the fog. Moonlight laced the trees, each branch bending as though listening to a secret. When the mist parted, the castle rose before her, vast, half consumed by vines of silver frost. Its windows flickered with candlelight, like eyes that had waited too long to blink. She felt both drawn and repelled, as if her heart knew the way. Somewhere beyond those walls, something was calling her, not with words, but with longing. She stepped forward, and the gates groaned like an ancient sigh. The first echo of destiny answered, Nor nishri noted use. Inside the castle, silence felt alive. Candles burned without melting, their flames whispering like captive spirits. The air held a sweetness of forgotten roses. Belle's footsteps echoed through vast corridors lined with mirrors draped in veils. Each one seemed to sigh as she passed. A grand staircase coiled upward into darkness, yet she felt drawn to a soft hum. The same voice from her dream. Welcome home, it seemed to murmur. Though no one was there, her hand brushed a mirror, and warmth pulsed through her fingertips, as if something inside the glass had a heartbeat. She found her father's cloak draped across a marble chair, dry, warm, as though he had only just left. But the air trembled. In a gilded frame nearby, her reflection blinked twice, though she hadn't. Then a shadow crossed the mirror, tall, broad, breathing softly. Do not be afraid, the voice said, deep as thunder restrained. She turned toward the hall, but no one stood there. Only the echo of that voice lingered, vibrating through the glass like a heartbeat, waiting to be answered. The sound of chains whispered behind the walls. She followed it to a door, engraved with roses made of metal thorns. When she touched it, it opened on its own. Beyond lay a chamber alive with flickering mirrors, hundreds of them suspended in air, each glowing faintly blue. One near the center rippled, and her own image whispered her name. She froze. Then faintly, a second voice, the beast's, echoed from the same glass. If you enter, the truth will begin. Her heart pounded like wings. The mirror's surface pulsed like water. Belle stepped closer, her reflection no longer mirroring her. Its eyes were darker, its smile too still. Who are you? She whispered. The other Belle leaned forward and spoke without sound. The glass cracked. Behind her, unseen, a shadow moved, and a low, aching growl filled the room, deep and sorrowful. The air folded inward, as if the castle itself had drawn its breath, and Belle, trembling, knew the dream had not ended. It had only just begun. The great doors shut behind Belle with a sound like thunder muffled by velvet. The hall was dim but alive, shadows breathing, gold chandeliers swaying without wind. From the far end, she heard the slow rhythm of claws against marble. Her pulse matched the sound. When the beast appeared, the candles flared in unison. His form was vast, half light, half darkness, a creature born of both fury and sorrow. You should not have come, he said, voice deep and cracked as old stone. She tried to speak, but awe silenced her. He stepped closer, eyes molten with something she could not name. You trespassed where none return, he said. Yet you will not die here. His tone was not a threat. It was a promise that frightened her more than death itself. He moved with the grace of a wounded lion, every step an apology carved in silence. Belle's breath trembled, but she did not retreat. My father, she whispered, is he? The beast's gaze fell to the floor, and a faint growl echoed through his chest. Alive? He said at last, and already gone. I sent him home. She flinched, uncertain whether to thank or fear him. He looked up, not at her, but through her, as if seeing something older. You offer yourself in his place? His question was soft, but the air thickened, the mirrors along the walls fogging as if the castle itself held its breath. Then so be it, he murmured. Your life for his freedom. Belle followed him through winding corridors where portraits watched and tapestries whispered. The beast led without looking back, his claws tracing the walls as if the castle were a living thing that recognized his touch. Do not fear what you see, he said. It only reflects what you bring. She glanced into a passing mirror. Her own face shimmered, then aged a heartbeat older before returning to youth. What is this place? She breathed. He paused. A memory that cannot die. For the first time, she thought she heard pain beneath his growl, a sorrow too deep to be spoken. They entered a grand dining chamber where time seemed suspended. A single table stretched endlessly, laid for two though untouched for centuries. Belle hesitated, then sat where he gestured. The beast remained standing, his massive hands gripping the chair's back. You may eat, he said. The castle will serve you. Before her eyes, golden plates filled themselves, fruits gleaming with dew, bread steaming though no fire burned. Yet nothing seemed alive. It was all too perfect, too still. You will not join me? She asked. His answer came low. I no longer deserve to taste what lives. When she finished eating, silence returned like the closing of a tomb. The beast stepped closer, stopping just beyond her reach. You will remain here, he said, until you no longer wish to leave. His gaze softened. The castle will obey your voice, but do not open the west wing. Belle met his eyes, and something unspoken passed between them. A recognition neither understood. Why? She asked. His expression darkened, the light around him dimming as though afraid. Because it will show you what I cannot. Then he turned and vanished into the corridors, leaving her with mirrors that whispered her name. Days passed in a hush that never felt like peace. Belle wandered the endless halls, guided by voices soft as breathing. The mirrors followed her. She felt their attention, their hunger. When she spoke, echoes returned her words out of order, as though time itself had fractured. Each evening she sensed him watching from afar, never near, never gone. At dusk she found a hidden gallery behind a crimson curtain. The air shimmered faintly, heavy with perfume and dust. Inside were portraits, hundreds, each painted in delicate strokes of gold leaf. Every face was hers, yet not older, sadder, smiling in ways she never had. A single unfinished canvas rested on an easel. Its subject turned away. Beneath it, a signature carved deep into the frame, A. de Bet. Her breath caught, his name before the curse. That night, sleep refused her. She dreamed awake, caught between heartbeat and silence. Through her chamber window, she saw the beast in the courtyard, kneeling before a dying rose. Its petals shimmered, suspended in air, refusing to fall. The moonlight carved sorrow into his fur. She pressed her palm to the glass, wanting to call his name, yet no sound left her. The reflection in the window moved, but not her own. It was another version of her, lips curved in a knowing smile. He does not weep for you, it mouthed. Then the reflection turned away, and she saw in its place the face of the beast, watching from behind the glass, his golden eyes full of fear. In daylight, the mirrors whispered again, her name over and over, voices layered like distant choirs. She returned to the gallery and found the unfinished painting complete. The figure's face now revealed her own, but older, eyes clouded like glass. Beneath the canvas stood the mirror keeper, a tall, veiled figure cloaked in smoke. You are learning, it said, voice neither man nor woman. What am I learning? Belle asked. That the reflection is never yours alone. The keeper raised a hand and every mirror in the room trembled. Ask the beast, Why he cannot bear to look upon your face? Ask what he sees. Before she could speak again, a figure vanished, leaving the air smelling faintly of roses and ash. That evening, Belle found courage. She went to the west wing, though every candle dimmed as she approached. The air there was colder, heavy, with secrets. The corridor ended in a vast door carved with roses made of bone. When she opened it, moonlight flooded in, and the smell of old perfume filled her lungs. The chamber was lined with mirrors, but all were shattered, edges blackened like burned paper. In the center stood a single pedestal draped in silk. Upon it, a hand mirror pulsed with faint light, its surface rippling as though alive. She reached out, but before she touched it, the door behind her slammed shut. The mirror whispered before she could even lift it. "He hides your truth," it said in her voice. "The beauty you wear was never yours." Her heart raced. The mirror's surface rippled, and a vision bloomed within the beast, kneeling before a woman identical to her, his claws dripping crimson light. "She begged to be beautiful," the mirror said, "and he gave her souls." Belle staggered backward, dropping the mirror. It struck the floor but did not break. Instead, it laughed softly, a sound like wind through hollow glass. Then the reflection of the beast appeared upon its surface, his eyes filled with terror. "Do not look," he pleaded, voice echoing from within the glass. But she already had. The night felt heavier after what she saw. Every whisper of wind through the castle seemed to carry fragments of that voice, the one inside the mirror. Belle wandered until she found the courtyard again, drawn by the faint glow of the rose. The beast knelt beside it as before, his massive form bowed in silence. This time she stepped closer. "Why do you guard it?" she asked softly. He looked up, eyes molten with anguish. "Because it is the last thing still alive here," he said. The petals trembled, shedding light instead of dew. "When the last one falls," he murmured, "all that was borrowed returns." Belle's hand hovered near his. For the first time, the distance between beauty and beast seemed to blur, a single breath apart. At dawn, the castle's mirrors flickered like restless eyes. Belle awoke to the scent of roses filling her chamber, hundreds blooming from cracks in the walls. She followed the petals through corridors now golden with sunlight. The beast waited near the grand staircase, sunlight tracing the gold seams in his fur. "You are changing the castle," he said quietly. "It responds to your heart." She reached out, brushing his arm. The air shimmered where they touched. "Then let it remember joy," she whispered. His gaze softened, but sorrow lingered in his every breath. "Joy forgets nothing," he said. That afternoon, Belle wandered into the library, a cathedral of forgotten words. Books fluttered open as she passed, their pages alive with whispering ink. One fell to her feet, open to a page of names written in blood-red script. She recognized her own. Beneath it, faint words glowed, born of the mirrored soul. Before she could close it, the beast appeared in the doorway, his voice trembling. "Do not read further." She looked up, fear and pity entwined. "Then tell me what it means." He turned away. "It means I gave you what should never have been given." Belle ran through the halls, tears streaking her face. The mirrors whispered louder now, fragments of her voice, each one accusing. "He made you," they said. "He shaped your beauty from the souls he stole." She stumbled into the rose chamber again. The petals pulsed like hearts. The beast followed, slower, his voice breaking. "You were dying," he said, "your spirit fading before the world could see you. I begged the curse to save you." She turned, trembling. "By condemning others?" His silence answered her. The rose glowed brighter, as if the truth had fed it. The rose trembled violently now, petals lifting into the air like burning feathers. "If I destroy it," Belle said, "what happens?" The beast's eyes shone with desperate tenderness. "Then everything becomes what it was meant to be. The petals circled them both, whispering like forgotten prayers. "And you?" she asked. "I cease," he answered. "But you return." She shook her head, tears catching the rose's glow. "Then let it die with me." He reached for her, claws trembling as if torn between love and fate. For a moment, time hesitated. Beauty and beast bathed in the same light, one breath from breaking. The night bled into silence. Belle stood before the mirrors of the West Wing, her reflection splitting into 1,000 versions of herself, some weeping, some smiling, all whispering truths she did not wish to know. The beast stood behind her, his reflection absent. "Why can't I see you?" she asked softly. "Because the curse hides me from what I've done." He moved closer, his voice breaking. "Each mirror holds a life I took, a fragment of a soul to shape your beauty." Belle's hand trembled as she reached for one of the mirrors. Inside, she saw faces, human, sorrowful, fading into her own. "They are you," he said, "and they are what I stole to love you." The mirrors pulsed like veins beneath glass. She staggered backward, every breath a shatter of disbelief. "You made me from the dead," she whispered. The beast turned his head, shame burning through his golden eyes. "Not dead, taken." They were dreamers, each one offering beauty for eternity. "I gathered their light, and it became you." Belle fell to her knees, the air trembling with her grief. "Then none of this is mine. Not my face, not my soul." He knelt beside her, massive form trembling. "You are what remains of what was lost. You are the last mercy I could create." Outside, thunder rolled. The castle moaned like a living heart breaking apart. The mirror keeper appeared again, this time emerging from the largest mirror like smoke becoming form. "He cannot free you," it said, voice echoing like glass breaking underwater. "The curse is bound by your reflection. Only you can end it." Belle rose slowly. "How?" The keeper raised a pale hand, pointing to the rose chamber. "Shatter the mirrors, release them. But in doing so, your beauty will die." The beast stepped forward, growling low. "No, she will not bear my sin." The keeper's smile was sorrow itself. "Then she will live forever, in pieces." The mirrors around them began to crack, whispering her name in voices that were not hers. Belle fled to the rose chamber. The glass dome over the flower had begun to fog, petals falling in slow motion. The beast followed, desperate. "Do not do this," he said. "You are all that keeps me from vanishing." She turned, eyes filled with calm resolve. "Then love me enough to let me go." He trembled, claws clutching the edge of the pedestal. "Without you, I am nothing." She stepped closer, tears glowing in the rose's light. "Without them, I am not real." Her reflection in the bell jar wavered. Not her face anymore, but the faces of those lost souls, shimmering like candlelight beneath the glass. Thunder tore the sky as Belle lifted the mirror she had dropped before. Its surface trembled, alive with light. "To end it," she whispered. "I must return what was stolen." The beast lunged forward, his voice a roar of agony. "No," but she already swung. The mirror shattered, light exploding outward, a storm of souls flooding the room. They rose like fireflies into the night, singing in silence. Belle collapsed, her skin turning to light, her beauty fading into the brilliance she had borrowed. The beast taught her as she fell. "Forgive me," he whispered, but she was already gone, her reflection lingering only in his tears. Silence felt like snow after the light faded. The rose lay wilted. Its glow flickered faintly, as though deciding whether to live or die. The beast knelt in the wreckage, his breath ragged, his claws trembling above the spot where Belle had vanished. "Come back," he whispered. The mirrors were gone, their shards turned to dust. But the air shimmered, faintly, softly, and a shape began to form before him. Belle, made of light and sorrow, her eyes no longer of this world. "I am still here," she said gently, "not as flesh, but as what you made." He reached toward her, but his hand passed through her chest like mist. "You have freed them," she said, "but I remain because you cannot forgive yourself." He rose slowly, the weight of centuries pressing against his form. "If I let you go, I am alone again." Belle's spectral form flickered, the glow within her dimming. "You were never alone," she said. "You carried every soul you saved within your sorrow." She touched his chest. Her light sank into his fur, leaving a faint shimmer. "Their voices live in you now." The beast's eyes closed, a single tear tracing the gold of his cheek. "And you?" he asked. "I am the reflection that remains," she said, the one truth the mirrors could not hide. Love that asked for nothing back. Her words lingered, soft as falling glass. The castle began to crumble, each stone sighing as though released from burden. Outside, the forest bloomed suddenly, trees flowering under moonlight, water flowing through cracks of marble. The curse was unraveling. Belle drifted toward the great hall where the first mirror had stood. "This is where it began," she whispered. "And this is where I must end." The beast followed, his massive steps shaking the ground. "Then let me go with you." She turned, her glow fading to a gentle ember. "You cannot follow where I go, but you can live as who you once were." The walls glimmered with forgotten gold. "Love is not to keep," she said, "but to free." She stopped beneath the final mirror, cracked but still intact. "One reflection remains," she said. The beast looked up, seeing in its surface not her, but the man he once was, the prince who had bargained beauty for power. "I do not deserve his face," he murmured. Belle's glow dimmed. "Then forgive him." He hesitated, then placed a clawed hand against the mirror. The surface rippled, swallowing his reflection whole. When the light settled, the beast was gone. In his place stood a man, trembling, human, eyes wet with awe and grief. Belle smiled faintly. "Now the curse is yours to release." The castle stilled. The last petal of the rose fell, and in its place silence bloomed. Belle stood before him, half light, half memory. "When morning comes," she whispered, "you will wake, and I will be gone." He stepped closer, tears catching her glow. "Will I ever see you again?" Her smile was pure sorrow. "Every reflection will remember me. Every kindness will bear my face." She brushed a kiss against his brow, weightless, eternal. Then the light scattered into dust, rising toward dawn. The prince fell to his knees, surrounded by the quiet sound of rebirth. Morning broke like a breath the world had forgotten to take. The storm had ended, leaving the sky washed in gold and silver. The castle, once a monument of sorrow, now glistened with dew. Where mirrors had stood, now grew windows filled with light. The prince walked through the halls in silence, his reflection whole for the first time, but every surface still shimmered faintly, traces of her spirit moving within, like a memory that refused to fade. "Belle," he whispered, his voice soft, unsure if it would carry. Somewhere in the still air, a faint echo answered, "Laughter, gentle as wind through roses." He stepped into the courtyard where the rose had once stood. In its place, a garden of wild blooms had taken root, every flower reflecting a shade of her presence. He knelt and touched one of them. Its petals glowed faintly under his fingers. "You live in everything now," he murmured. The air shimmered, and for a heartbeat, her form appeared beside him, not ghostly but whole, smiling as sunlight itself. She reached toward him, her touch gentle as a sigh. "You see," her voice whispered from everywhere, "love was never meant to end. only to change its shape. He walked to the lake beyond the castle walls, the water perfectly still, mirroring the sky. For the first time he saw his reflection not as the beast, nor as the prince, but as both, the man who had sinned and the creature who had loved. Then in the reflection beside him Belle appeared again, her image luminous and calm. "Do you regret it?" she asked. He smiled faintly. "Only that I learned too late what beauty truly was." Her reflection leaned closer until their images nearly touched. "Then you have broken the last of it," she said. The water rippled, and both reflections dissolved into light. Years passed, and the castle became legend. Villagers told of a prince who never aged, who tended a garden that bloomed even in snow. Sometimes, travelers swore they saw a woman's reflection beside him, golden hair and eyes that shone like mirrors. The prince never denied the stories. Each dawn he lit a single candle and placed it before the window where she had first appeared. "For you," he would say softly. For the one truth the mirrors could never contain. And when he turned away, her laughter still shimmered in the air, softer than a heartbeat, eternal as light. In time, the story became myth. The myth became silence. Yet on nights when moonlight touched the castle ruins, travelers spoke of a vision, a woman walking through the garden, her gown woven of starlight, her eyes holding the reflection of a forgotten prince. They said that if you looked into the lake, you could still see them dancing, beauty and beast entwined as one eternal truth. The world forgot their names, but not their love. For every reflection that meets its own gaze remembers beauty was never hers, nor his, but the mirror between them, the place where love finally saw itself.